Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to do a video about the top 5 things to avoid when buying lightsabers. Before I do that, I just want to say please go follow my Twitch. As you can see right there, Lando Sabers, all one word. I will be doing some streaming in the future, doing some gaming, doing some question and answer type things, and maybe some lightsaber related content on the Twitch channel. So please go follow that as well. Once we hit 100 followers on the Twitch channel, I will be giving away some Amazon gift cards. So please feel free to go do that if you would like to partake in that giveaway. Also, please go sub to Benji at Nerfherder Customs. Y'all are probably really tired of me saying it, but please go subscribe to Benji at Nerfherder Customs. I will be giving away lightsabers once we hit 1,000 subscribers for his channel. He's around 770 or something like that. So please go do so. Please go do those two things for me. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much in advance. The nature of this video, unfortunately, will probably be pretty negative and will have much less of the positive content that you're accustomed to seeing on the channel, but I feel that it's really necessary in order to give you, the viewer, and someone who's buying lightsabers or interested in buying lightsabers, the full picture so that you can make an informed decision. I apologize if I look like I'm reading a script or something throughout the video, because I basically am. There are certain things that I'm going to be mentioning that I need to be incredibly concise about. This isn't a video in which I'm going to mince words at all, and you'll see why later in the video. So let's start off with the top 5 things to avoid when buying lightsabers. First will be buyer's remorse for your saber. Second would be electronics installs and their fancy, confusing lingo that you see a whole lot. Overpriced sabers, glowingly positive reviews for saber companies, which is something that we really need to talk about. And then the fifth thing is the big name search engine optimized stores and stores that throw out these Instagram ads, and in relation to the actual quality. So 4 and 5 will kind of go hand in hand, and you'll see what I'm talking about once I get to them. So first off is buyer's remorse for your saber. I wanted to start off with buyer's remorse for a very specific reason, especially in regards to some things that were misinterpreted on my channel and in my videos. Um, in my video about the company that you shouldn't buy from, which you should know what I'm talking about, and I'll discuss that later in this video. Some of the things that I said were like greatly misinterpreted, even to the point where grown men decided to talk trash about me on a forum and lie about how I made that video to shame people, to shame the people who bought sabers from that company, including like teenagers and parents who bought these for their kids, and how I said that they should look at their sabers as trash now. That's a blatant lie, and not at all what I said, nor even implied. I even mentioned multiple times throughout that video that if you don't know, then you don't know. If you didn't know at the time, then you didn't know at the time in regards to that company's practices and how they install sabers. I've mentioned on this channel that NeoPixel and advanced soundboards and all these other things don't matter to some people. They just want a glow stick with or without sound. And I'm 100% cool with that. Never once have I said, hey guys, if you own XYZ company's saber, you should throw it away and wallow in sadness and shame for eternity because I am some all knowing being who's superior to you and you're stupid and you should be ashamed of yourself for buying them. Never have I ever said that. Never have I even come close to implying that. This hobby is meant to be fun, and bringing politics into it and accusing me and my fellow lightsaber YouTubers of bashing customers is just stupid, and it's completely inaccurate. I genuinely take offense to that, as it both negatively affects my brand, and it's an incredibly weak attempt at undermining what I have worked hard for by ruining my reputation. Apart from that, people can like whatever they want. I mentioned that in the video as well, that if you enjoy your saber from that company, fine. Who am I to take that away from you? I get a ton of viewers on my channel that are very new to the lightsaber game, and some of them are simply looking for very simple sabers. For example, I reviewed the Paxtor Shiva, which is a $39 extremely well-made stunt saber. For a lot of people, that's all they want or can afford. For a lot of people, the Crimson Dawn Shrike that I've reviewed in a previous video, that's all they want or can afford. And guess what? That's totally fine with me. The videos that I've been making recently are meant to shine a light on trustworthy companies and are meant to provide you with more options than just the commonly known ones, which is another topic I'll talk about later in this video. So please don't feel bad because you own a saber from a company that I don't personally like or recommend. Don't feel bad that you enjoy them. That's your saber, and you can enjoy it as much as you want. I cannot take that joy away from you. So please, if you're watching my videos and that's what you're trying to take from this is that I'm trying to bash you, uh, please don't think that, because that's not even close to what I'm trying to get at. I'm just trying to protect you. I'm trying to protect other viewers. I'm trying to protect these kids that are wanting lightsabers. I'm trying to protect the parents that are getting scammed. All that stuff. That's the point. I'm not trying to make you feel bad if you have one already, and I'm not trying to shame you into thinking that what you bought is bad. That's not even close to what I'm trying to show. So next up is electronics installs and that fancy, confusing lingo that they use. One of the most common things that I see is that people are getting confused and questioning both here and on Reddit is like, what does V3 soundboard mean? What does 9-watt LED mean? What does RGB mean? Does that mean it's only red, green, or blue? NeoPixel, CFX, Profi, what does all that mean? And look, I get it. When I first started off in the lightsaber hobby and started researching things, it was like a totally new language to me. And after spending some serious time, and I feel like that I have a pretty good grasp on what many of those things mean. I do understand that like a lot of the time, some of the lingo or the wording can be either a bit confusing or actually a bit misleading on the part of the company. A while back, I posted a video called Beginner's Guide to Buying Lightsabers, which is meant to be a starting point for those that are looking to understand some of the language that's commonly used by lightsaber stores and by those in the community. If you haven't seen that and you'd like to better understand some of the things that I mention frequently on this channel in regards to like lightsaber technology and definitions, right click on this card up here somewhere. Right click on that and open that video in a new tab, and pause this video and go watch that, or you can watch that later, whatever you want to do. Because that video clears up some questions that you may have. That's not a fully exhaustive video by any means. There are enough terms out there that relate to lightsabers and lightsaber technology that could fill up hours of videos, and that's just a basic guide and some common questions and misconceptions. So regarding some of this confusing lingo and these words that make no sense to a lot of people when they first see them, the first thing that I recommend to do before pulling the trigger on a lightsaber when you have questions on their electronics is to find a video showing what it does, or at least pose a question to either a lightsaber community, to the store, to the lightsaber company itself, or even to me. I love answering all your questions, and if I can't accurately answer your question, I'm at least gonna refer you to someone who can. So don't be afraid to ask. There are no stupid questions. Now, this ties into something that I'll mention later in the video, but watch out for seeing Saber electronics in promoted ad videos. Try to look for just regular people here on YouTube or Facebook or somewhere that it's showing off what the lightsaber and that electronic configuration can do. It's hard to find unbiased opinions sometimes, and which is another thing that I'll mention later. Some of the common questions, such as what are stunt FX and Neo or Plector Pixel, are pretty simple to answer, and as I have all three of those sabers. Simply put, stunt sabers have no sound, FX sabers do have sound, and Neo or Plector Pixel have sound and are very bright because of the blade that has hundreds of LEDs inside of it. Instead of just like the FX sabers and the stunt sabers, they have 1 to 3-ish LEDs inside the hilt that shine up through the blade. RGB in the lightsaber community refers to the same definition as in the computer gaming and peripheral or lighting communities. It just means color changing capability. My Pock Store Shiva is a single color stunt saber, meaning it can only be green. You can buy it in blue and red as well, but the one that I have is only green, making it not an RGB saber. My Crimson Dawn Shrike can change blade colors, which means it is an RGB saber. So that's just the difference. I know some people have been asking that recently. The whole 9-watt, 12-watt LED thing is a bit blown out of proportion, and it's not as important as you think it is, or how some saber companies make it out to be for marketing purposes. When you're looking for an in-hilt LED saber, the more important thing you should be looking for is single Cree versus tri-Cree, not LED wattages. Single Cree means that there is a single LED Tri-Cree means there are 3 LEDs, which is pretty simple. The 9 watt and 12 watt thing is just a measure of how much power is going to the LED, and it's not actually an objective measure of how bright the blade looks to you in person and on camera. That's not really what that means. There are high wattage sabers that are dimmer than Tri-Cree sabers, and the overall brightness and color disparity is also dependent on the quality of the blade and its diffusion. If you have a glossy blade, sometimes it doesn't look as good as the sanded down blades. The color sometimes isn't as diffused as well, and the light isn't as diffused as well as the sanded blade. So it kind of just depends on an amalgamation of things to make up that one term that we call brightness. In the future, I'd like to do a comparison between the different types of lighting styles and sabers so you can actually see what I mean. Once again, if you don't understand what something means, watch my video about the lightsaber definitions. Ask the saber company, ask on the our lightsaber subreddit, or ask me. We'll all be willing to help you if we can. Okay, so this next one is where it starts getting a little heated. We're going to talk about overpriced sabers. I mentioned in my videos about Dark Wolf sabers and Crimson Dawn that there are advantages and disadvantages to buying from saber resellers. In that case, we're talking about LGT Saber Studios resellers. The one thing people are a bit hesitant on with companies like that is price, because you saw the same saber for cheaper elsewhere. And now this is yet another thing that I'll mention later in the video on a different point. But there are some trustworthy budget saber companies, and there are some non-trustworthy budget saber companies. If you saw the same saber elsewhere for cheaper, you likely saw it on another reseller's store. If you want literally the cheapest price for those sabers, buy it directly from LGT Saber Studio on AliExpress. Once again, I mentioned in my Dark Wolf lightsabers video about the advantages and disadvantages to doing that. So right click on this card up there in the corner and check out that video for more on that. The whole same saber business really only applies to the LGT resellers, as there aren't many mass-produced saber companies that have their sabers resold to the same extent. And these sabers can be found all over the place. If you'd like to see what you should be paying for their sabers, check the official store and compare that to what you'd be paying with a reseller. If it's like more than double the price with the reseller, or it's marketed as something more advanced than it really is, that's false advertisement and is absolutely not a good value. LGT clearly explains the full extent of their different tiers of sabers, and they expect their partners to do the same. Keyword expect. I'll mention more on that in a little bit, and that's a massive part of this video, so stick around for that. Realistically, you can't put a perfect definitive price range on certain electronics tiers and sabers, but usually single Cree stunt sabers with no sound, they shouldn't be costing you more than $150, with shipping included. If it is, it's an absolutely terrible value and should be avoided. Tri-Cree sabers are typically a bit more expensive than single Cree sabers, so that's something that I'm not going to really put a price range on. Basic FX sabers with basic soundboard. Keywords here, basic FX and basic soundboard. They should not be costing you more than $300 ever. If it is, it's an absolutely terrible value and should be avoided. There are highly advanced FX sabers that are outfitted with Crystal Focus 10 or Profi boards, like I've mentioned in previous videos, that can cost hundreds of dollars less than basic FX sabers with decent or poor soundboards from certain companies. So be aware of that. NeoPixel sabers are kind of a whole different ballgame, so the price range for that is kind of all over the place, like I've mentioned in recent videos. So check out my channel for recommendations on NeoPixel sabers that come in all price ranges. All in all, when you finally nail down that saber that you're about to buy, and you nail down that it's a fair price in relation to the rest of the saber market, make sure to ask yourself, am I really going to play with this enough to justify spending this much? Look, I saved up for quite some time to buy my Saber Trio Vectra NeoPixel saber. And had I not done that, you wouldn't be watching this video right now, and I wouldn't even have this channel. So don't get discouraged because something is expensive. Work hard, save your money if you really want something special from a trustworthy seller. Also, keep in mind that the phrase, you get what you pay for, doesn't always apply in the saber community. Like I've mentioned, it's widely known that some saber companies charge exorbitant prices for underwhelming or poor electronics installs and capabilities, and some companies charge extremely low prices for high-tech sabers. So if you don't know if something is worth what you're about to pay for, ask me. I'd be willing to help. Okay, so here's where the real controversy starts, and the next 2 points that I'm going to make are some that I did not plan to have to talk about again on this channel, but I feel that I have to now that I've gained a larger following. So let's start with saber companies that have these glowingly positive reviews. And before I start, let me mention something incredibly important and a bit of legal stuff that I have to discuss. So part of this is going to be a little bit robotic in my in how I say this because I have to read legal things. So now if you've been watching my channel for a while, what I may just said about these glowingly positive reviews may sound a bit hypocritical to some people at first. On this channel, I tend to give Saber Trio a glowingly positive review by definition. And while that may be the case, it is true. I do tend to give Saber Trio a glowingly positive review. And I've yet to see anyone actually have a serious negative experience with them or with their sabers. And I thoroughly love their sabers and I love the company. They have great sabers, which is widely known in this community. Their pricing is great relative to the pricing of the competitors with similar tech. And their customer service is also widely known as the absolute best. And they're fully transparent with everything they do, which is exactly what you want with customer service. Don't just take my word for it. Do some more research. Look at the our Lightsabers subreddit and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Don't just take one man's word for it, because if you do, then you're messing up. That being said, at the time of filming this video, not once have I ever been approached by Saber Trio in this regard, nor have I ever actively sought out being sponsored by them. I'm not under their employ, nor have I been contracted by them to persuade my viewers to buy from them. They have, in retrospect, shown their gratitude towards me for helping people understand certain things about their sabers and introducing new people to Saber Trio, but not once have they compensated me, nor even asked me to do that. I love answering questions for them. I know that they have their customer service team is always swamped because the amount of people that are interested in them, and they're trying their hardest to answer all these questions. But sometimes they miss a few questions or they can't get to a few questions, so I help them out. It's as simple as that. When you ask questions on my channel, sometimes other people help out. It's the same thing. This is all of my own volition, of my own free will. If you're unaware, the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC, they require all those that are sponsored by or under the employ of a company to state that they are in fact being compensated when they're promoting a product. I'm not stupid enough to lie about whether or not I'm employed by a saber company. I'm not that stupid. So per the FCC's website, Section 317 of the Communications Act of 1934, as amended 47 U.S.C. Section 317, requires broadcasters to disclose to their listeners or viewers if matter has been aired in exchange for money, services, or other valuable consideration. The announcement must be aired when the subject matter is broadcast. The Commission has adopted a rule, 47 CFR Section 73.1212, which sets forth the broadcaster's responsibilities to make this sponsorship identification. Section 507 of the Communications Act 47 U.S.C. Section 508 requires that when anyone provides or promises to provide money, services, or other consideration to someone to include program matter in a broadcast, that fact must be disclosed in advance of the broadcast, ultimately to the station over which the matter is to be aired. Both the person providing or promising to provide the money, services, or other consideration and the recipient are obligated to make this disclosure so that the station may broadcast the sponsorship identification announcement required by Section 317 of the Communications Act. Failure to disclose such payment or the providing of services or other consideration, or promise to provide them, is commonly referred to as payola and is punishable by a fine of not more than $10,000 or imprisonment for not more than 1 year or both. These criminal penalties bring violations within the purview of the Department of Justice. So this originally applied to like radio hosts. As you can see, this is from 1934. But it still stands today. But it's since expanded to television and content creators as well. So, for example, when you see a commercial on TV that's about an auto injury attorney and shows client testimonials, those are usually paid actors or they're at least actual clients that were compensated for their appearance in the commercial. If that's the case, then that must either be shown in the fine print in the commercial, usually at the bottom of the commercial, or at least stated in the commercial. If not, they are subject to legal action, and those testimonials or reviews must be honest and truthful and not coerced by the company or who they're representing. But you know how that goes. The whole reason I bring this up is that I and a few other lightsaber YouTubers have been accused of being under the employ of a rival company and that I'm partaking in a sponsored smear campaign by a rival company. This is in reference, as you may have guessed, to my video about UltraSabers. This accusation is just plain stupid, and it's quite possibly the furthest thing from the truth imaginable. These people claim that I'm under the employ of a rival company. Those people are referring to and suggesting that I was hired and paid by Phil Isherwood of Saberforge to start a smear campaign against UltraSabers. But guess what? I don't even like Phil Isherwood, and I would literally never do business with him. Ever. I don't like him as a person, and I don't like how he runs his business, which is Saberforge. I've expressed my distaste of him and of Saberforge to some of you in the comment sections. I haven't really done a video about it because I didn't feel like the timing was right. But now I feel like that I have to mention it. If I was under the employ of Phil Isherwood and Saberforge, wouldn't I promote Phil Isherwood and Saberforge on this channel? But I'm not, and I haven't, because it's a completely baseless accusation from people who were mad that I didn't like their favorite lightsaber company. Now, if you're one of those people who accuse me of that, sit for a second and think how absolutely stupid your comments are. Now sit for a second and think how unbelievably childish it is to go complain about me on a public forum. Now sit for another second and think about how absolutely stupid it is that you decided to attack and condemn me for public information that has been available for quite some time. I won't divulge the identities of these people who made those accusations because I actually have respect and integrity, something they lack. But just know that there's some people out there that simply hate when people disagree with them and will literally do anything to see them fail. I digress. Let me get back to the main point before I pop a blood vessel. This part of the video is meant to discuss these glaringly positive reviews on Sabers companies, these overwhelmingly, glowingly positive reviews on Saber companies. Now, with all things you buy, you should look at reviews before you buy it. Whether that be on Amazon, whether that be on Best Buy, whether that be whatever, what have you. Same applies to Saber companies. Now, there's no perfect review system in place for all Saber companies. In fact, there are many Saber companies that don't even have review or rating systems in place at all for their sites. There are third-party sites and other entities such as the Better Business Bureau that allow ratings for companies, but some of those companies don't have review systems in place for their own website. Now, on UltraSaber's own website, there's a review system in place with a thing called Shopper Approved, which is extremely fishy to me, and which I know some pretty awful things about that I can't discuss for legal or private reasons. However, if you want to see something incredibly strange, go look at UltraSaber's Twitter page and scroll through their tweets. On their Shopper Approved reviews, the overwhelming majority of their ratings are positive, with a 4.7 out of 5 star overall satisfaction rating. Now, let me mention something before I drop the next few bombs on y'all. Many of the diehard UltraSabers fans leave reviews every time they get a saber from them, which is why there are an unreal amount of views on there. When you have 10, 20, 50 plus of their sabers, it's incredibly rare to find a negative review from one of those people, which I understand fully. However, there's proof dating back over 10 years of the owner of UltraSabers, Emery Harris, deleting negative reviews of his company. This started on old FX Saber forums, and it's been shown to apply on Shopper Approved as well. They claim that Shopper Approved is this fully autonomous third-party review entity with zero connection to UltraSabers, and that UltraSabers has zero control over reviews. But that's absolutely wrong. I've spoken with former employees of UltraSabers that have testified that Emory Harris makes his employees automatically leave 5-star reviews for the customers, especially when they're at conventions. Not only is that incredibly immoral, it is incredibly illegal. So, what does the Federal Trade Commission think of fake testimonials and reviews? Each Federal Trade Commission violation is subject to a $10,000 penalty under 15 USC 45, and it doesn't stop there. There's also a fine of $41,484 each day a deceptive ad runs, and I've mentioned before, UltraSabers runs all kinds of deceptive ads for their site. The FTC can and has filed civil actions against larger businesses with judgments in the millions of dollars. The more widespread, deliberate, misleading, or damaging a deceptive ad is, the bigger the civil case will be. And the FTC can also order businesses to admit to and correct deception or return money to consumers they deceived. So if you're one of those people who were lied to by UltraSabers, the FTC is backing you right there. You have the ability to have your money returned to you if you were deceived by UltraSabers. So there you go. And by the way, that's just an inkling of all the FTC laws that UltraSabers has broken and is continuing to break. I have plenty of proof about that. And this also ties in to another issue that a ton of my viewers have seen firsthand here on YouTube, the sheer amount of positive UltraSabers review videos that date back years, with thousands of them every year. Like I mentioned, when you're buying something, you look up reviews. In the case of a lightsaber, you intend to search its functionality. And so many people flock to YouTube or Google's videos tab, which are mostly YouTube as well. So now, luckily, when you search UltraSabers on YouTube, my cautionary video is now the first thing that comes up, which has now saved countless people from dealing with them, as seen in my comment section. Go see how many people have said thank you so much for warning me about them. However, before I posted that video, all you would see is hundreds and thousands of reviews or unboxing videos of UltraSabers. Although some people post those videos of their own volition and free will, like I have with some of my videos, the vast, and I mean vast, majority of them have an ulterior motive behind those videos, which is UltraSabers' rewards program. Rewards programs are some of the most wishy-washy things legally, so let's see what the Federal Trade Commission says. Are paid testimonials illegal? Yes. Many of the same laws which make fake testimonials illegal also made paid testimonials illegal. There are some differences because sometimes paid testimonials can be based on real customer experiences. The FTC's guides concerning the use of testimonials and endorsements in advertising address how 15 USC 45 apply to testimonials, including paid testimonials. These guides and others lay out legal and illegal practices for testimonials or reviews on sites like Yelp, TripAdvisor, Google Business Reviews, and others, as well as any testimonials you use in advertisements on your website or elsewhere. According to these guides, legal testimonials must adhere to all of the following: made by a real customer or user of the product or service, based on a real user's experience, be an accurate description of expected or normal results, not here's the most important one right here. Not influenced by money, gifts, or publicity unless it is clearly disclosed. Not influenced by a familiar or business relationship, such as employer or employee, which goes back to what I said about UltraSabers telling their employees to make 5-star reviews for their site. And not edited or altered so to change the message. That means paid testimonials are illegal if the person giving the testimonial doesn't clearly state that they are being paid and the statement is still true and accurate. The FTC also makes it clear that gifts such as a free trial of the product or service, such as a giveaway, a gift card, or any other incentive is a, quote, material relationship, and that must be disclosed. Oh, and by the way, the FTC on the consequences of review incentives. The Commission issues an administrative complaint when it has, quote, reason to believe that the law has been or is being violated, and it appears to the Commission that a proceeding is in the public interest. When the Commission issues a consent order on a final basis, it carries the force of law with respect to future actions. Each violation of such an order may result in a civil penalty of up to $16,000. So the reason I bring this up is that many of these videos and these video reviews you see on here on YouTube don't disclose that they're posting these reviews under the influence of money, gifts, or publicity. In this case being discount codes or UltraSabers rewards points, which can be used to purchase goods on their site, which legally equates to the term currency. If the people posting these videos explicitly state that they're posting their review for the rewards program, and that their review is accurate, unbiased, and not coerced by UltraSabers, only then is it legal. Omitting those facts and still being rewarded by UltraSabers is illegal. So that about sums up the whole glaringly positive review thing. UltraSabers is certainly not the only company out there that does that, but they're the biggest and they're the most widely known lightsaber company in the world and are thereby harming the business of other companies, the integrity of the lightsaber market, as well as their own customers by doing so. So now it's time for my final point, which is one that ties in with what I just mentioned and things that I've mentioned in the past, which is big name companies and their quality and how their search engine optimization, Instagram and promoted ads, and stealing content. So like I've mentioned in my original video about UltraSabers, the first thing that pops up on Google when you search lightsaber is UltraSabers. The second, Saberforge. Then you scroll down and you can finally see what a lightsaber's definition is. Both UltraSabers and Saberforge pay an unreal amount of money every year to Google to promote their website. However, UltraSabers obviously pays way more. Do me a favor, search Saber Trio on Google, then go to the shopping tab and tell me what you see. Absolutely disgusting. Go to YouTube and search other saber companies. UltraSabers still pops up on ads. The most insane thing is that UltraSabers is so unbelievably adamant about being on top that you can literally shopping search Saberforge under the Google shopping tab, who is their direct competitor and has been for a long time, and you'll still see UltraSabers. That's the definition of insecurity. Not to mention, UltraSabers employees make $8 an hour and are working forced overtime and 7 days a week, and Emory Harris is spending thousands of dollars every year on ads to dissuade you from even clicking on other companies' sites. So determine that as you will. Incredibly immoral. This only happened recently, but I even Googled my own name on a new web browser and on a different computer, so I know that there was no cookies involved or any kind of thing crossing over between search engines and all that kind of stuff. And an UltraSabers ad came up first. You cannot make this up. They're literally trying to search engine optimize themselves over me and by using my brand name, which I will sue for if they don't take that down. That was not there before I made my first video about them, which a disgusting abuse of funds for a company. Now moving on from the absolute dumpster fires of a saber company that both UltraSabers and Saberforge are, there has been a recent trend of using Instagram and sometimes TikTok to promote lightsaber companies, quote, companies. I've seen quite a few myself, as well as screenshots and stories from others. One of these companies is called Loxdo, Loxdo. I have firsthand experience with this, as I saw their ads come across my own personal Instagram feed, and I instantly called BS. Their ad was a video compilation of a ton of lightsaber clips from different companies and different content creators, and was unbelievably fake. However, there are a lot of people out there that don't know that and give them their money anyway. Their ad used clips from actual lightsaber sparring tournaments, like huge sparring tournaments and shows, clips of Darth Koopa using a Saber Trio Reaver NeoPixel saber, and a bunch of other clips that have literally nothing to do with their product. And one of my videos, can't remember which one, had a huge 3-day spike in traffic source for YouTube searches. So what that means is I can look at analytics and see how people got to my video. And in this particular video, which I can't remember which one it was, a lot of people somehow got to my video and to my channel by searching Loxdo lightsaber, which leads me to believe they're still actively scamming people, so avoid them. Another one that I've seen is Dynamic Sabers, which appears to be another LGT reseller. However, they're one of the least reputable. Abhorrent customer service, overpriced, and untrustworthy. Avoid them as well. And buy the same exact sabers for cheaper on some of the other resellers' websites or from LGT themselves, like I've mentioned in previous videos. There are hundreds of other scamming lightsaber companies out there, but there's one in particular that I wanted to mention, and that's DX Sabers. They're one of the worst attempts at a scam I've seen in a long time. They're owned by one of the scummiest human beings that I've ever seen, Paul Dogramji Jr. He threatened to sue Saber Sourcing, which is one of the largest lightsaber related channels here on YouTube. She's the operator of a reputable Saber News blog website on the grounds of libel, slander, defamation, and although she literally has done nothing but report and relay public information, which is exactly the same thing as I'm doing now, so don't even try me, Paul. I'll link in the description the full saber sourcing article about DX Sabers, and I promise you that it will likely make you sick to your stomach. Saber sourcing got all the receipts, so there's no weaseling out of that one if you're Paul. There are even more Reddit posts that show how unbelievably disgusting Paul is, and I encourage you to check those out. One of the dumbest things regarding DX Sabers is that on their website, he states that they, quote, will not allow the company to be abused through policy manipulation, dramatic emotional verbal abuse, cyberbullying, etc. Paul's acting like a high school teenager in an attempt to escape actual criminal and civil acts that he's committed. And anyone who calls him out on the illegal things that he's done is, quote, emotionally abusing and cyberbullying him. And he tries to force you to take down your negative review of DX Sabers, and according to the Federal Trade Commission, that's 100% illegal. Companies cannot force you to take down your reviews unless it's completely and wholly dishonest, which they aren't. There's tangible proof of the reviews being legitimate. There's a video that's not suitable for work due to language, but it's pretty insightful by Corey Thompson that I'll link in the description below that you should check out to see what I'm talking about. Like the title of this video suggests, this is meant to be things to avoid when buying lightsabers, hence why I'm even mentioning any of this stuff. This isn't to fan the flame or to stir up anything. It's meant to inform and educate so that you can be smarter with your money. So that pretty much sums up what I've got for this video. This is likely the last time that I'll do something like this because it's just so negative and I hate having to do it. But I owe it to all of my viewers to give them the full picture on these companies that are trying to get their money any way possible. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Once again, I apologize for having to be so negative about all this, but I want all of you to understand what you're dealing with if you decided to go with one of these companies. So thank you all so much for watching, and may the force be with you.